Okay, you did manage to get one of these mules on camera. Well, I mean, giving an interview, and this is soundbite 8. Let's take a listen.
I was just instructed to go ahead and receive ballots from various people, females mostly, and on Friday they would come and pick up payment. I would get a call to find out how many ballots were brought in and if they were already pre-filled out first. And she would come to the office, look at them, and then before she left, she would either take them herself, but other times she would ask me if I could drop them off at the library.
So what was the instruction?
Just to drop them off.
In the Dropbox?
In the Dropbox, the early ballots.
Can you give me an idea of how many you personally put in the box? Hundreds?
Could have been, yes.
And was there a reason she wanted you to go to that Dropbox as opposed to maybe City Hall or something?
There's no cameras. There's no cameras there.
Now, what happens? Does law enforcement talk to this person? Do we know whether that went anywhere?
Well, we know for a fact that she is cooperating with law enforcement, and we know for a fact that there's an investigation going on right there. If there's any place, Megyn, I would be reasonably optimistic that this will push forward and that we will see arrests. It's going to be here in Yuma County.
Okay, good. I mean, because listen, we don't know whether she's telling the truth. All that needs to be investigated by people who have investigatory skills. Something maybe they could have done even prior to now, because those nonprofits are identifiable. You have the list. I'm sure law enforcement has the list. And just to be clear, my understanding, you can correct me, Dinesh, going into 2020, we had all sorts of election integrity pushes, and they came from the left. In large part, people saying, like Mark Zuckerberg, here's $400 million toward election integrity. And in the film, you cover the fact that usually these things would come with strings attached, like make sure we have a lot of drop boxes and make sure we facilitate as many mail ballots as possible and make sure there are ads to vote in different languages and so on. So is that basically what we're talking about when we say nonprofits? It's not like a Planned Parenthood. It's like something election related.
Yeah, so we're talking about two different things here. We're talking about powerful leftist foundations and digital moguls, people like Zuckerberg. Now, when Zuckerberg got involved, the media reported it sort of this way. The cities and states are trying to install all these drop boxes. They don't have the money, and Zuckerberg is gallantly stepping forward and agreeing to pay for it. But it didn't work actually that way. Zuckerberg funneled the money in through some nonprofits that he controlled. And these nonprofits then sent out letters to all these counties basically saying, we got a lot of money, we're willing to give you a bunch of it, but to do that, you've got to sign this agreement in which you agree to do lots of mail-out balloting and lots of drop boxes. And we want you, and we want you to also say, if you don't do this, you're going to have to give us the money back. So you really had a private individual with massive resources, almost $500 million in this case, using that muscle to infiltrate election offices and control the way that the election is being administered. I mean, it's unprecedented in American history, but quite honestly, it's not clear to me that that's even illegal. I don't think anyone anticipated anyone would attempt something so unbelievably audacious, and yet it was done. I'm not saying that Zuckerberg knew about the mules, but I am saying that if it wasn't for those privately funded drop boxes, the mules wouldn't have any place to go to.
And these are very controversial. Even when they were established, there were a lot of folks on the right jumping up and down saying, this is ripe for fraud. This is a bad idea. This is not going to end well. And the other side just kept saying, COVID, COVID, COVID. We have to make it as easy as possible for people to vote. And here we are. One thing I wanted to follow up with you on, you said earlier, so it's very suspicious to you that this was done in all these swing states. We mentioned the 5, you said, and evidently nowhere else. But how do we know that, Dinesh? Because you guys didn't look elsewhere. You know, you, as far as I understand, you know, you didn't take a hard look at North Carolina or Florida or Ohio, even Texas, where, you know, it's a little bit more of a swing state these days. So how do we know it didn't happen there? Because if it was happening there too, maybe that would make these videos and these data seem less nefarious.
Well, I think it probably happened other places. I mean, it's kind of like saying if you go out on your porch with a flashlight and you keep flashing it here and there and you count ants everywhere you go, you can be sure there's a whole bunch of ants on your porch that you haven't counted with the original turning on of your flashlight. But on the other hand, I rejected the idea of taking the estimate of fraud in these 5 areas and somehow extrapolating to the whole country, because I put myself in the place of the fraudsters. I thought, look, if I'm going to cheat, I don't need to cheat everywhere. I don't need to cheat.
You got to go where the money is.
Yeah, let me cheat in North Carolina. I'll cheat in Florida. I'll cheat in Ohio. I'll cheat in Nevada. I'll cheat in the places where I think I can swing it to my side. So I'm quite confident that if True the Vote looks in those places, there's a very good chance they would find cheating. But we don't even imply or allege this in the movie because I want to stay with the evidence that we have.
This episode of The Megyn Kelly Show is sponsored by the Claremont Review of Books, a quarterly journal of original essays and book reviews that the smartest conservatives in America read from cover to cover. Widely regarded as the intellectual nerve center of the conservative world, the Claremont Review of Books is one of the only places where important new books and ideas are treated seriously and in depth by reviewers who know what they're talking about, many of whom you will recognize because we've had them on our show. Victor Davis Hanson, Sarab Amari, Heather McDonald, John Daniel Davidson, just to name a few. You can get a sampling of the exceptional content they publish, along with a special offer, at ClaremontReviewOfBooks.com/MK. You will receive a free bonus issue of the publication when you sign up for a 1-year subscription. That is 5 issues for the price of 4 at the cost of $19.95. If you love great writing and thoughtful insights on everything from politics to history, philosophy to music, art, sports, then sign up to start receiving the best read for the most well-read today at ClaremontReviewOfBooks.com/MK. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.